Hello, everybody. So, we're probably going to be reacting to some Elder Scrolls lore for a little bit because we're doing an Elder Scrolls D&D campaign, and I'm already a nerd in the whole subject, but some of the other players are not. Like Vampy over here. We're about to get him to
Yeah.
learn about his race, the KHAJIITs.
Yeah, I don't even know about the KHAJIITs and I'm playing.
Yeah, you're playing when you don't know jack shit about them. Uh, oh yeah, well, I was talking to Draco earlier, one of the players in the game. He didn't even know you were a KHAJIIT.
What in the does he not pay attention to the pictures?
I don't know. I guess I don't know. It was funny though.
What in the hey?
You doesn't know you're a cat boy. Okay,
Oh
so
my
this
god.
is the complete guide to the KHAJIIT's Elder Scrolls lore
Yeah.
by FudgeMuppet, one of my favorite YouTubers I like to watch. I literally listen to this guy while I'm at work, like just lore and stuff, because he's like an audio book. him and his
An audio book. Oh god.
companions. Anyways, well that's how I see it because I love the content. Anyways, because they put all the lore together. Now then, you ready to learn about your people?
Yeah, as ready as I'll ever be.
Yeah, let's punk 'em the pussy.
The southern sands of Elsewhere are the burial sites for many ancient civilizations, or so the whispered myths would have you believe. Just as the deep red soil relentlessly shifts, so too do the transient beast folk who claim this land as their own, the wandering KHAJIIT. Some say this feline folk were on Tamriel long before the races of men and Mer. Others would assert that they were actually descendants of the Elnathay, changed by Azura to be the fastest, cleverest, most beautiful race. Whatever the case, the KHAJIIT of Elsewhere are without a doubt the furriest, most intoxicated people in the realm, just about beating out the mead-drunk bearded Nords of Skyrim for
I love the statues, like
Yeah, they look great.
just the lion heads.
that honour. The beast races of Tamriel are almost alien when compared to the men and Mer. Humans and elves share a lot of similarities across racial lines, but the beasts, especially the KHAJIIT, are divergent in every way, and that's evident from as early as the moment they're born. But in this video, I'm going to tell you everything there is to know about the catfolk, leaving no sands untrodden. Let's begin with their origins. We have a pretty solid understanding of how the races of men and Mer arrived in Tamriel, given the enigmatic nature of the Dawn Times. We know the old Elnathay, the elves, either arrived after leaving the southern continent of Aldmeris, or perhaps Aldmeris was just in their heads, and they were always in Somerset. And then the wandering Elnathay, the men, were scattered across the surrounding continents of Yakuda, Atmora, and Akavir, before making their way back to the land of Dawn's beauty. But few can actually say with any degree of certainty what races, if any, were native to Tamriel. We hear stories of feathered folk ruling the skies of Cyrodiil, and from the very same source, Father of the Niben, a translation and interpretation of Topal the Pilot's cartographic adventures. There's mention of orcs emerging from murky glens, and human lizards in their fetid swamps. All of these discoveries preceded the many elven migrations from Somerset to the mainland of Tamriel throughout the Malefic era. Topal's journal mentioned one other race, and described them as his ship made its way up the Niben River, not far from Elsewhere. The cat demons of 4 legs and 2 ran the river's length, always keeping the boat in their
Oh yeah, that's right. Elder Scrolls has 2 moons,
Oh yeah.
so
I like how
we always have 2 moons in the sky.
yeah. The best part is he's naming all these places I don't know shit.
Yeah,
like like where is that?
your native land should be Elsewind.
green-eyed sight, hissing and spitting and
Yeah,
roaring with rage. But the sailors never had to brave the shores, for fruit trees welcomed them, dropping their arms down to the river's edge as if to embrace the Mer, and they took the fruit
that's a
quickly
lot of
before the
sleeper
cats
kitties.
could pounce. origins. We'll discuss the KHAJIIT fur stocks later, but this description is fitting, as the catfolk can be born in 17 different forms, including both bipedal and quadrupedal forms. If Topol's accounts are true, then it strongly suggests that the beast races had different origins to the men and elves. It's rather confusing when you consider that there is tons of lore explaining the origins of the orcs that seem to completely contradict Topol's sightings. The traditional tale of Trinamac's defeat to Boethia hails from a time when the Aldmer had settled in Somerset, and this version would have the orcs making it to Tamriel around the same time as the Kaima. Either way, we have this account from Topol suggesting the KHAJIIT are native, while the account of Clan Mother Anisi tells the tale of the cats being an offshoot of Nerni's children, the Elnathay who would be the ancestors to Men and Mer. It is possible that both accounts can be true, as the Aldmer may not have recognised the cats as being their relative.
I find it whack that actually some KHAJIIT will actually be born like normal cats but can talk.
Oh god.
Oh yeah. At least I think that's what I understand of it.
Yeah. Bipedal and quad.
Yeah.
Like 2 foot and 4 foot.
Like, there's even actually some different forms of KHAJIITs that take the features of tigers and lions.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I kind of look like a lion, don't I?
I don't fucking know, dude.
From what the image I was, what I've been using, yeah, that's kind of what it shows.
If you look like a lion, you sure as hell don't act like one.
It would be hard to blame them for not seeing a resemblance. Clan Mother Anisi's teachings are invaluable, as they are the primary source used to explain the origins of the KHAJIIT, and the fundamentals of their religion and pantheon. For the most part, the cats share the same gods we know from more mainstream human and elven creation stories, only their names are altered slightly. As with the monomyth and the Anuad, it begins with Anu and Padamai, or to the KHAJIIT, Anur and Fadamai. It seems that Fadamai is actually more akin to Anu, while Anur is more like Padamai. But anyway, they gave birth to the many cat gods. The first litter included Alkosh, Kanafi, Magrus, Mara and Srendar. The second litter consisted of Hamora, Hirsine, Meruns, Mafala, Sangin and Shegarath. Kanafi then persuaded Fadamai to birth one final litter. This one included the moons and their motions, Nerni, the deific embodiment of the majestic sands and lush forests, and finally Azura, the bringer of dusk and dawn. Nerni and Azura were Fadamai's youngest daughters, and they shared an intense sibling rivalry, constantly vying for their mother's favour. One more came, Lorkaj, who was born in the darkness, the great darkness that would come.
They're saying all the gods' names differently because it's different in the cat tongue. Except for Mara. Mara's the same. Just so you know, Mara's the goddess of marriage.
Goddess of marriage. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So later down the line on the campaign, I might buy an amulet of Mara. And then go up to Ishi's character.
Oh god.
That will only be done after I'm done terrorizing her scene. I'm gonna hunt that fucker. He's gonna hunt me? No, I'm gonna hunt him. And later on, as we go through these stuff, you'll learn, like, there's a lot of different powers and magics you can learn. Hell, there's a lot of magics that can help you be a better thief. Yeah, man. There's a lot of powers and abilities. We'll have to go through this shit. There's a lot of opportunities for you to play things.
I don't
to be known as Namira.
Yeah.
Fadamai's death
Those
followed
says
shortly
a lot.
after her maternal exertions, but before she passed, she left her children with gifts. She gave her children the lunar lattice to protect them from the great darkness she had embraced. Nerni was given the greatest gift, for she would give birth to all the races. Azura was the last to receive her gift, and Fadamai said to her, "To you, my favoured daughter, Fadamai leaves her greatest gift. To you, Fadamai leaves her secrets. When Nerni is filled with her children, take one of them and change them. Make them the fastest, cleverest, most beautiful, and call them KHAJIIT. The KHAJIIT must be the best climbers, for if Massa and Secunda fail, they must climb Kanafi's breath, to set the moons back in their courses. The KHAJIIT must be the best deceivers, for they must always hide their nature from the children of Anur. The KHAJIIT must be the best survivors, for Nurni will be jealous, and she will make the sands harsh and the forests unforgiving, and the KHAJIIT will always be hungry and at war with Nurni. And with these words Fatimai died. Azura spoke the first secrets to the moons, and they parted and let Azura pass. And Azura took some forest people who were torn between man and beast, and she placed them in the best deserts and forests on Nurni. And Azura in her wisdom made them of many shapes, one for every purpose. And Azura named them KHAJIIT, and told them her second secret, and taught them the value of secrets. And Azura bound the new KHAJIIT to the lunar lattice, as is proper for Nurni's secret defenders. Then Azura spoke the third secret, and the moons shone down on the marshes and their light became sugar. And so the catfolk came into being, at least according to Clan Mother Anisi. It's a rather flattering origin story. I wonder how the High Elves would interpret a source that claims a beast race is faster, more clever, more beautiful, more cunning and more resilient than themselves. Likely with uncontrollable laughter, swiftly followed by a display of dominance to bring the felines under their influence.
Oh yeah, like this information is actually kept hidden from all the other species. Only the KHAJIIT knows the truth of their existence.
I don't think we're working with any elves, so...
No, actually, well, we're not working with any high elves. High elves are the issue in Elder Scrolls. They're the more pompous ones. Dark elves, they're more racist. And then the wood elves, they're like, oh, hey, chap, how you doing? We fine. We friendly forms of Canadian.
The fact that they sound Canadian.
No, they don't. They don't. I'm just fucking making a stupid joke there that made no sense. Fuck, they live in a forest area. They should sound more like a forest-like person. Probably like a redneck wood chopper. Yeah, boy. Sound like that.
Alright.
Yeah, I mean, if I could give a basic description, Red Guards, warrior race. Nords, racist. Dark Elves, racist. KHAJIITs, thieves. High Elves, pompous pricks. Argonians, I'm a lizard.
I like how I'm just, like, classified as a thief automatically.
That's because, like, everybody always suspects the KHAJIITs to be thieves because of how they're treated and how they look. Like, a lot of KHAJIITs are, like, merchants and stuff like that. Some are thieves, but it's just, like, I don't know, because they have those cat-like reflexes. Let's get back to the video.
Yeah.
But we're not going to start arguing over who's the fairest of them all. Fortunately, Clan
None of them.
Anisi's recount of the creation story took their clear biological advantages into consideration. Nurni was not pleased with her sister's intrusion, and resented the KHAJIIT, seeing a corruption of her children. So she made the deserts hot and the sands biting, and she made the forests wet and filled with poisons.
Hot deserts,
It was the forest
just like
god
home.
Ifra who informed Nurni of what Azura had done, and he was rewarded for this. She allowed him to create a race of his own as well, but his creations are a story for another video. With all of this in mind, you can guess who the predominant figures of the KHAJIIT pantheon would be. The KHAJIIT owe their forms to Azura, who made them different from the many other races born of Nirn and Lorkhan. Azura created them and
Alright, so you can know who Nirn is. Nirn is the planet.
Okay, Nirn's the planet.
But a lot of them suspect that Nirn itself is alive.
made them
I mean,
distinct
in a
from
sense,
the
I wouldn't
elves.
doubt
For
it.
how
Gave
weird
them the
Elder Scrolls
necessary
is, I
skills
wouldn't
to be
doubt it.
attuned to the lunar lattice. And of course, she's the goddess of dawn and dusk. Without her, the sun would not rise, and the moons would not bathe the sands and rainforests of elsewhere with twilight.
That's Skyrim.
Crystallized moonlight is their primary source of sustenance, and the cycles of the moons dictate their genetics. And of course, a culture that reveres the moons must in turn revere Lorkhaj. He may be the trickiest of the divine cats, but the KHAJIIT perceive him with equal helpings of contempt and admiration. KHAJIIT religion, though unique to the cats, shares many similarities with the other Tamrielic religions, but they also have some gods exclusive to them, like Riddlefar, the deity of the cosmic order, who bestows the cats with the guidelines by which to live a pious life. There's also Rajin, the thief god, the purring liar, the greatest burglar to grace the land of elsewhere. Another is Bandar, the bandit god. He represents the KHAJIIT struggle and their resilience against their enemies, be they man or mer. But of course, no gods will impact the lives of the entire KHAJIIT people quite as significantly as Joan and Jode, the little moon god and the big moon god, Secunda and Massa. And when life ends, the KHAJIIT are comforted by the assurance that they will fly on Kanafi's wings beyond the moons, to the eternal warmth of the sands behind the stars, a paradise where sugar forms the dunes, and the joyous moonlight chorus sounds. While it's every cat's greatest desire to reach this afterlife, it is possible for cats to wander astray, and come upon the temptations of Lorcage's dark dance. Lorcage was born in the great darkness Namira, and if a cat loses sight of the moons, he or she may end up there, where the invigorating incandescence of the moons and stars cannot breach. This is where the distinctions between true cats and bent cats come into play. A true cat hunts for the right trail, endeavouring to find Joan and Jode's path. But cats are notoriously capricious, and can lose interest in the chase, losing themselves in the darkness, becoming bent cats. These naughty cats must be nudged back onto the right track, and that can be achieved by reminding the KHAJIIT of their history, their creation, and their affinity with Massa and Secunda. If they are not, and they are enticed by Namira, then they may fully transform into the Dromafra, corrupting...
Oh my god, Namira. Namira is the Daedra god of vile insects and cannibalism. If I'm wrong, go ahead. If I'm wrong, go ahead and put it in the chat. There's a lot of lore to remember. So I don't care if anyone calls me out on it. That's at least what I think I remember.
Reflections of the KHAJIIT.
Okay.
In the words of Ezra Bar, the moons shine brightly at night, but where the bright pale light shines, the darkness is that much deeper. As the KHAJIIT live in the light, so things live in the dark. These are the Dromafra. When KHAJIIT mothers prepare to give birth to their litters, as Fatimai did in the dawn times, they gaze up at the darkening sky, surveying the horizon in search of Joan and Jode. Their arrival dictates the forms her children will take, 17 possible combinations. Will the moons be new or full, waxing or waning? In no other known religion is the role of the gods in the births of mortals so explicit. You can see how the KHAJIIT come to venerate the moons so fervently. If Massa is waning, then the cats will be a small quadruped.
Good thing you're already a fucking creature of the night.
Yeah.
Because now you're learning, hey, the moons are a big part of your culture.
Then,
Yeah,
with
and
Massa
they're
waning,
now
a
a
full
big part of
Secunda will
life.
produce an Alfiq, which is the kind of KHAJIIT most akin to the common house cat. A waxing Secunda will result in an Alfiq Rat, which is a larger version of the Alfiq. A new Secunda leads to a Dagi, which is larger, lankier, and more lightweight than the Alfiq. Similarly, Dagi Rats born under a waning Secunda are the same as Dagi KHAJIIT, only slightly larger. With Massa in the new phase, we have the following 4 small bipedal forms. Ohms with a full Secunda, Ohms Rat with waxing, Sufai with new, and Sufai Rat with waning. Bizarrely, Ohms KHAJIIT looks strikingly similar to wood elves, and Ohms Rat like men with tails and golden fur. Sufai KHAJIIT are similar in stature to Ohms KHAJIIT, only they look like cats, not wood elves. Sufai Rat are the most commonly seen of the KHAJIIT, the ones you would be most familiar with seeing around Skyrim, Cyrodiil, and Morrowind. KHAJIIT born under a waxing Massa are large bipeds. When Secunda is full, they are Kaphai, similar to Sufai Rat, only larger and stronger. When Secunda is waxing, the Kaphai Rat Jaguar men are born. Then there's the Tojai born under a new Secunda, and Tojai Rat under a waning Secunda. Little is known of these breeds. Finally, when Massa is full, we get the largest, most powerful of the KHAJIIT breeds, starting with the Sench under a full Secunda. Sench KHAJIIT are like tigers, and stand as tall as the Ultima on their hind legs. They make effective mounts for smaller breeds. Sench Rats born when Secunda is waxing are twice as large.
We can literally turn some of your people into mounts.
But you fucking
Oh, I dare.
And are said to be the largest of all breeds. When Secunda is new and waning, you see the Palmer and Palmer Rat, and while they are huge, they're not as bulky as the Centrat. There's one final Furstock I haven't mentioned. This one does not depend on how full the moons are, but rather their alignment with a fabled third moon. This astrological phenomenon results in the birth of a Main, the spiritual leader of Elsewhere. They were considered to be lunar champions chosen by the gods. If the realm of mortals is threatened, it falls upon these heroes to ascend the lunar lattice, climbing Kanafi's breath to set the moons back on their paths. Tradition holds that only one Main can be alive at any given time, and these rulers do not shave their manes. Instead, every other KHAJIIT of the Main's tribe would shave theirs in deference to him, braiding them into locks that he would incorporate into his own gigantic mane. Over time, as the population of the region grew, this ritual became impractical. Now, while all KHAJIIT still remove their manes, they do so largely as a symbolic sacrifice. The only members of KHAJIIT society who can operate with autonomy from the Main are the clan mothers. The extent of their esoteric powers isn't easy to quantify, but the clan mothers have an uncanny ability to disseminate the mysteries of KHAJIIT cultural myths, and they lead the KHAJIIT in their beliefs. Quirks and lunar duties aside, the Main rules the people of Elsewhere like any other monarch. If anything, loyalty to the Main is even greater given their divine origins. A Main cannot just lie his way to power. He would have needed the moons on his side from the moment of birth. The KHAJIIT are unified on most aspects of culture. They all adore moon sugar, and if they're not consuming it directly, they're refining it into skooma, or using it to season just about every other kind of KHAJIIT cuisine. As Clan Mother Anisi said, the moons shone down on the marshes and their light became sugar.
I must remember to never eat anything at Elsewind. That's a drug, by the way.
Yeah.
Scuba. That's an addictive drug in Elder Scrolls.
Yeah. Just the way
The
things are
KHAJIIT do not interpret this as a metaphor. They believe the sugar cane that grows in abundance throughout the Tenma forest is truly imbued with moonlight, and the moons are gods to the KHAJIIT, so the consumption of moon sugar is like imbibing sacred energy, a small portion of the eternal souls of the moon gods. And the analgesic, soporific and euphoric side effects are enlightening. With the moons overhead every night, and moon sugar as a staple of their diets, KHAJIIT culture and religion is deeply intertwined. The numbing effects of moon sugar generally means that Elsewhere is one of the more harmonious Tamrielic provinces. However, the importance of slavery in Dunmer society means that the KHAJIIT are not lax about self-defense. Their claws make for a reliable and universal weapon available to every cat, poor or rich, and there are many martial arts developed by the KHAJIIT, including arts like Goutfang, Whispering
He is so small compared to them.
Fang, and Rawlif Kaj, and they incorporate the use of various tools like saber, scimitar, dagger and longbow. While I mentioned that KHAJIIT society and culture is generally homogeneous, it is the diversity in topography between the north and south that facilitates the greatest differences in domestic culture. Geographically, Elsewhere is a harsh area of badlands and dry plains. Only near the southern reaches does the soil turn fertile, and the whole of this region is covered in jungle and rainforest, with sugarcane groves clustering against the two main river basins. The northern half of Elsewhere, known as Anakina, is barren and unforgiving, and the wide open deserts and grasslands are dominated by nomadic tribes of aggressive territorial raiders. The southern half, Palatine, is fertile and full of life. Here the waters of the Topal Sea, which capture...
It's a lion boy.
Yeah. I think the image I have was like that, but flat face.
Flat face.
Yeah.
the crystallized moonlight, wash upon the...
So if your face is flat, I wonder if we could balance a plate on it.
Well, I don't think it's completely flat, but you know what I mean. It's a lot
soil of
flatter
the
than
Tenma
that.
rainforest,
Probably because it's
and
dark
groves
drawing.
of Elsewhere's most valuable commodity flourish. As such, an agrarian aristocratic society prospered. The southern plantation-owning cats are far wealthier than even the mightiest of the northern barbarians. The people of Palatine considered their neighbours in Anakina to be uncouth barbarians, while the Anakinians looked to the south and saw only decadence and depravity. All in all, this dichotomy between the two kingdoms is fitting, and represented the two moons at their extremes. Joan and Joe differ in size and shape, and follow their own paths, yet at the end of the day they both rise and they're both moons. Compared to races like Imperials and the Ultima, the KHAJIIT have taken a backseat to many of Tamriel's historic events. Early in their history, back in the Malefic and First Eras, there were 16 individual kingdoms, but unlike most human and elven societies, they were not interested in warring over land and influence. Elsewhere was unaffected by the spread of the Elysian Empire, and the neighbouring wood elves and lizard folk were not overly ambitious when it came to expansion. The greatest threat to the KHAJIIT came from the dragons. Back in the Malefic era, a legendary dragon named Karl Gronteed and his horde came to Elsewhere to find the secrets needed to consume the powers of the moons. 5 heroes of KHAJIIT history came together to stop the draconic invasion. They artificially aligned the moons, causing an eclipse and opening the path to Jode's core. They were then able to weaken the beasts and seal them away in the halls of Colossus. Centuries later, in Second Era 582, the dragons were unleashed once again, and it fell upon the descendant of one of those 5 heroes, Queen Chimera, to stop them once and for all. The 16 kingdoms eventually became 2 when the Thrasian plague of First Era 22
I just love that there's like an opium thing right here. Opium!
60 eradicated
Basically,
huge chunks of the
Jeets
populace.
are the,
They were eventually colonized by the domineering Riemann Empire,
They're
and with the
Persians.
exception of a few rebellions against the foreign overlords.
That would make sense if they're based off Persians, because of it said they got like the Persians. Yes, you need to start rolling your R's.
I don't think I can.
Ah, just bend your tongue. Go on, bend your tongue and then try to roll your R.
Nah.
Oh, come on, bitch.
I can barely keep my breath as it is. You think I could do it while trying to roll R's?
I could do it without any breath.
Lords. The KHAJIIT weren't
Oh,
overly
that's
impacted by
you.
the Imperials. The only times Elsewhere have ever truly been embroiled in international politics have been under the guidance of the High Elves. The KHAJIIT were recruited into the iterations of the Old Mary Dominion, usually by some form of deception or coercion, like the Void Knights, for example. When compared to calamities like the Oblivion Crisis, the Void Knights are swiftly overlooked, but no catastrophe struck Elsewhere harder than the Void Knights. If you'd like an in-depth description of this event and the conspiracy behind it, we have a video on the channel that you may be interested in. We'll link it in the description below. But in the year 98 of the 4th Era, Massa and Secunda vanished from the night sky. As you could imagine, this was traumatic for the KHAJIIT, whose religion, culture and livelihood orbited around the moons. The Thalmor took credit for their return 2 years later, and the KHAJIIT hailed them as saviors. Little did they know this veneration would be exploited to recruit the catfolk into the ranks of the Dominion's armies ahead of the Great War. Arguably the greatest impact the KHAJIIT have had on Greater Tamriel has not been through any direct involvement in conflicts or diplomatic relations. It has instead been a result of their chief export skooma, that refined form of moon sugar. Whether smoked through a water pipe or consumed in liquid form, it is highly addictive, especially to the other races of Tamriel. The cats can tolerate it better than men and mer, but even they will stick to raw moon sugar for the most part, largely because they know a skooma habit is a surefire way to end up in the company of Shegareth, the skooma cat. Skooma strikes the user with intense euphoria, a high that addicts will strive to replicate over and over until they're penniless or dead in a ditch. This euphoria is followed by lethargy, and can eventually lead to amnesia and gradual mental deterioration. Nevertheless, that euphoric high is too enticing for many Tamrielites to pass up, and skooma smuggling is rampant across the continent, no matter how hard political powers like the Empire and Dominion may try to stifle it. Generally though, it seems Elsewhere's neighbours have little interest in the KHAJIIT province. Its deserts are blisteringly hot, its rainforests are humid and crawling with dangerous creatures. The cats would claim this was Nirni's work, of course, making their realm perilous to counteract their racial superiority. But Elsewhere's relative isolation has resulted in very unique art, style and architecture. Stilted houses with jagged roofs stand tall, pointing skyward. Interspersed among the new buildings are ancient stone temples and monuments, many of which have fallen into a state of disrepair, but they retain much of their history, unspoiled by invaders. The harsh climate combined with the KHAJIIT's natural insulation means that light, loose-fitting clothing is the most common across the province. Shawls of coloured cloth called budai are popular for both sun protection and modesty. Armour is generally padded leather or cloth as opposed to heavy metals, as the KHAJIIT value mobility and stealth. KHAJIIT fashion is decorous yet flamboyant. They aren't afraid of vivid colour nor ornamentation, and will bedeck themselves with pretty jewels and fragrant petals. I mentioned the cultural...
You hear that, fam? Don't be afraid to be flamboyant. Yes, I think you should wear that lovely rose pink.
significance of martial arts in Elsewhere earlier, as their role in KHAJIIT life cannot be understated. Beyond self-defense, claw dances are a form of meditation, vibrant and lyrical, as opposed to quiet and motionless. Cats have a predatory instinct that makes them yearn to pounce and bare their claws, and the KHAJIIT have found an elegant outlet for these urges that are said to be captivating to spectators. No doubt these pensive prances help the cats stay true, and avoid falling into the rhythms of Lorcan's dark and twisted dance. Tamriel may never be completely at peace, but if there is one race who would gladly withdraw themselves from the conflicts and maneuverings of the other provinces, it's the KHAJIIT. So long as the moons bless their groves with arcane twilight, and the roads provide safe passage for their caravans, so long as there's an abundance of moon sugar and warm sands beneath their paws, the KHAJIIT will be content. And there you have it, guys, the complete guide to the KHAJIIT of Elsewhere. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks so much for watching.
Yeah, that was that.
Yeah. And that was very interesting, so...
Hey, you got some idea.
Yeah.
And funny enough, like, when they were talking about, like, the skooma cat, his name is Sheogorath. It's Sheogorath. The fucker that made the Wabbajock.
Oh, God.
Yeah. You know, I was actually reading some books in Elder Scrolls the other day, and one of them I picked up was about Sheogorath, and it talked about how he thought of instruments to give the mortals. He was just bored one day walking through the realm of Tamriel, just like looking for something to do. A woman said, "Ah, the birds are so lovely today," and he was like, "Yes, I can agree. Shame people can't make lovely sound." So in turn, he ripped her apart, made instruments from her organs, bones, and so on, and handed it out to people, and then people started playing instruments.
Well then.
a little over the top for how instruments were made. I don't think it's how they were actually made. I think it's just a story that someone made for fun.
Yeah.
But it sounds like something he would do, because he is that random.
Yeah. Well, that's just the way things are.
Yeah, he's like in the Elder Scrolls campaign we're playing in. He's literally on my do not fucking meet list.
Yeah.
We can't kill them. We do not have the power to kill them. We can't. But we can tell them to fuck off. That we can at least do that. And like,
Okay, that's good.
if you notice, like Ralph's been trying to get in contact with his god and stuff.
Yeah.
He chose the hardest god to get in contact with.
And I've probably chosen the easiest.
Which one do you choose?
The one for it's basically the one that's the Sanjin, I think it was.
Sanguine?
The blood cat.
Oh, the blood cat. I don't fucking know. Hold on. Elder Scrolls Blood Cat. I don't fucking know, man.
Sanguine. There.
Sanguine.
Yeah.
Known as a blood cat who is known to test the KHAJIIT with promises of immortality. He's pretty much he tests you and stuff.
Yeah.
You read about him, right?
Yeah, a little. As I said, I'm not well versed in any of
The greatest sin this fucker can bring is stagnation. He can make you stagnant. All he does is, and he like parties. His realm of oblivion is like fucking party realm, but it's accommodating to everyone, even the sick fuckers. So like, let's say, oh hey, I want a party room of a bunch of random flesh I can fuck, even if it's alive or not. He would give it to you. He's he's depravity knows no bounds.
Yeah.
Have fun with that one.
So.
But yeah, because she sees him as a god that tests people.
Yeah.
So I guess following him means you're going to be testing yourself.
In a way, I already am.
You're not really stagnant, so that's good for now.
Yeah.
And really, it's optional to not have a god. But yeah, like he chose Mafala, which is like the spider web bitch. She has in her realm of oblivion. She literally has like her own little spire tower that overlooks her own little built version of Nern. So she can just like take a look, like take a little peeky peek what's going on here and there. Like a World Marvel.
Yeah.
That's how she can actually see events. But at the same time, like, she's also all about betrayal. So yeah,
that's the one concern.
yeah, that's the concern. She's okay with betrayal. And like when you come across her in Elder Scrolls, she gives you a sword, the Ebony Blade.
Yeah.
And that sword, basically it gets the more you kill people that trust you with it, the more it gets stronger. Like, there's two types of ebony blades. Normal ebony weapons that are just normal metal, and then there's her ebony weapon, which is like a fucking fuck off two-handed katana. Yeah, Mafala's not really that good of a choice, but the organization he works for follows her. Let's see here. Elder. Fuck it, just type in Skyrim Mafala. Don't even know if I spelled that right. Fuck these names, man. Fuck it. Ebony Blade. Ah, yes, this fucking thing.
Get it.
It's literally a weapon based on betrayal. Like right there, it's a two-handed katana. Really, I wish they called it something else, really.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's a whole set of ebony arsenal, and then you just have this weapon that's just called the Ebony Blade. I feel like they ran out of names to call some of this stuff. Well, anyway, we're going to call the video here. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. If you liked, leave a like, subscribe, follow, all the good shit. I'm going to leave our Twitches down below because we do live stream. Well then, we'll be doing our Elder Scrolls D&D campaign every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. EST New York Standard Time.
Yep.
Until then, yeah, this was me, and that's Bitch Boy Vamp over there.
Ha ha ha.
Yeah. Pretty soon, like in a month or two, I'll have a new model all set up. Actually, I do have a new model already done. I just got to get the other models done, like Chibi, Zion, and so on. So,
Yeah.
later on, you'll see this model gone, guys.
And while you're getting that done, I'm also getting a reference sheet for a new model to be made.
Yes. Well, anyways,
yeah,
we'll end up on my we'll start editing these videos on my usual Twitch stream saying. Because I just yeah. Anyways, stay good, stay strong, keep venturing. I'll catch you all next time. Zion out.